welcome back. And now we're joined by Alicat Games, another associate sponsor. I'm going to say this name wrong because I always get names wrong. Cesar?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, brilliant. I did it.
Fantastic. First time.
Welcome to the stream. And thank you for being a sponsor of Virtually Expo.
No, it's great to be a part of the show. We've had fantastic responses from people being at the physical show, so we thought, why not?
So, for those who might have just heard about Alicat Games for the first time, I'll be a little bit surprised. But tell us a little bit about yourself and the company, the games you kind of share with the world.
So I'm Cesar. I run the company. We have 3 people directly underneath me that do all sorts of various stuff. Simon, who does the development with me, Jess, who does the sales and operations, and then Ross, who does the customer service stuff. We're a company that tries to do games a little bit differently. We try to do more real world themes, things that aren't typically fantasy themes that, there are quite a lot of games out there of. We try to do, real world themes like being in a hospital or being on a submarine or things like that, really. So our next game is being in a theme park. So things that people can relate to in real life that they might want to play within that world.
And a lot of them have some really lovely bits and pieces to kind of grab and hold on to. I'm thinking of myself about Dice Hospital and Chocolate Factory have lovely components to them.
Yeah. We always try to have a really nice table presence. Very early on, we realized that the more beautiful the game is, the more attractive to the eye it is for people. We put a lot of time and effort into the art direction, the table presence, how it feels. But not just that, we don't forget about the game itself. We really want to make really good games. So we spend an awful long time playtesting, developing, trying to break the games to make sure that they're fun, replayable, and all sorts of things like that. The nice table presence is hopefully a good bonus on top of a really good game.
Do you play lots of these in the office just instead of doing work, or do you kind of have to force yourself down to getting through to the next expansion or the next new game?
We have a really nice balance. So before lockdown happened, Simon would come down to Letchworth, where we're based, to the office, and we'd play test the heck out of everything that we've got going on. And then the rest of the time, the other 4 days, we'd be doing sort of like background things, such as logistics or maybe some remote playtesting or art direction. Or a lot of the time, me and Simon, who are the full-time employees of the company, will be directing freelancers like our artists or graphic designers to finish things up or whatnot. So there's a lot of things that publishers do in the background that I think customers don't appreciate in terms of making a fantastic product, but also getting it to them in a timely fashion.
You mentioned remote testing and remote playtesting there. Has that sort of helped you kind of transition over into the new normal now?
Yeah, it's a good question because I've spoken to lots of people in the industry about how it's affected them. And funnily enough, just like us, a lot of people have almost immediately switched to doing remote playtesting. And a lot of people, including us, have actually increased the amount of playtesting we've been able to do simply because it's very quick to prototype. It's just an image that you can change and then you just upload to the server where it's hosted, and then you just remotely playtest. So I call up Simon and say, hey, we should probably playtest Dice Theme Park or whatever, and we can do it almost straight away. When obviously working remotely, which a lot of publishers do anyway, particularly in the US, you can't really do that. So it's kind of been almost a benefit to us because we've been playtesting more, but also, as a result of that, because of the time traveled and whatnot on that 1 day a week with me and Simon, we've actually been able to do our other stuff on top of that as usual.
You've mentioned Dice Theme Park there, and we've all now got a little bit of a picture of the box art. So what is Dice Theme Park? Is this an expansion? Is this completely different? What's going on here? It looks awesome.
Yeah, so we're mostly known for Dice Hospital, which is our flagship game. So for us as a smaller publisher, it's kind of an evergreen for us. And whenever people talk about us, they say Alicat Games, who did Dice Hospital, or vice versa. So we want to expand that line, and that's why we came up with Community Care, which is the expansion.
Ooh.
We can discuss that later if we have time, but Dice Theme Park, we approached Daryl Andrews and Adrian Ademshku to do a game for us, and we said, because you've done a few dice games like Sagrada, would you be interested in doing something like that for us? So they were like, yeah, definitely. Signed the contract. They gave us something. It was really, really good. We then brought Mike on board, who is the co-designer of Dice Hospital and the designer of Community Care, the expansions, and we said, let's work together to wrap this up into a more uniform Dice Hospital universe, and that's what Dice Theme Park became, which is a standalone sort of like a spiritual successor to Dice Hospital. So we feel like it ticks a lot of the boxes for maybe people who didn't like Dice Hospital or they wanted something more from it. So this is much more of its meatier brother or sister, as it were.
Oh, so if you've played a little bit of Dice Hospital, you should be the building blocks are there, and then you can go on and
Yeah,
make a.
definitely. Exactly. So if you've played Dice Hospital, the step up to Dice Theme Park won't be that difficult. And if you avoided Dice Hospital because you felt like it was too light for you, it would certainly be for those sort of players. So we're trying to tick all those boxes, and we feel like it does. And we're currently going through blind playtesting now, where we have selected playtesters who are reading the rulebook themselves and playing it themselves, and then giving us very comprehensive playtest feedback, and we're getting some really positive results in terms of what we need to change and things like that.
So how long? Like I know you can't be exact and specific, but how long do things like play testing take? Is it dependent on the game or?
Well, it it really depends on the publisher's attitude to what is classified as finished. A really good example of someone who I really admire is Bez. She runs her own small publishing company called Stuff by Bez, and she has a very admirable take on playtesting, which is almost playtesting it to death and playtesting it as much as you can. Unfortunately, in a bigger publishing house where you have almost very strict timelines, particularly when you're putting things on Kickstarter and you have expectant customers, you have to really stick to some deadlines, and you have to figure out, done in a sort of either earlier way, or you just have to say, no, we can't playtest that. We don't have enough time to have that extra thing. So, it's how long is a shoestring? And for us, we always budget in a very long time frame to do from the very early conceptual stage, where maybe the designer has given us the conceptual bit or the almost final bit, all the way right up to developing it to submitting the files to the manufacturer.
And how does the kind of playtesting then work? So sort of flipping back over to community care, how does playtesting work with that? Do you have to go through billions of iterations of the hospitals from Dice Hospital now with the community? How does that work in? It's something I've never really.
Yeah. So we released Community Care in summer 2019 on Kickstarter, and we anticipated that we would have the development done by a few months' time, because all we had left to do, and we said all we had left to do, was the combinations of the expansions, because it's actually 3 mini expansions that you can play.
Wow.
But yeah, but what we decided was that players would probably want to put all the expansions together and play that, and all sorts of different combinations, because every expansion is for different types of players.
Hmm.
So we thought, oh yeah, it'll only take us like 2 or 3 months, and it ended up being 7 or 8 months of further development, which to be honest was pure hell for me and Simon, because it was it was a lot longer than we thought it would. But because it's our flagship game, we had to make sure that it was great. We couldn't just say, oh yeah, it's done, because we couldn't do that. So yeah, it was just a matter of doing them singularly and then in a combination, and then trying to break it, and then doing blind play testing as well, which we do a lot of actually remotely.
That's very
Amazing.
cool. So for anyone who hasn't actually seen your dice set of games, can you give us a very brief synopsis as to what you do and how you play the game?
Yeah, so Dice Hospital, like I said, is our flagship game. For those who don't know it, it's basically a dice manipulation game. Everyone's got their own hospital. The hospital has spots where you can place your workers, and then when you place your workers, it changes the value of the dice, typically up. And what you're trying to do is trying to do it in a sort of puzzly way that you can discharge your patients all at once. But the limiting factor is you've only got a small number of beds, and every round you're getting more and more dice. So you do have to discharge them at some point, otherwise they die, which is very rare, but it does happen. But typically our dice line revolves around real world themes, where the dice represent people, and they sort of, in Dice Hospital, the pit values represent their health. So the higher the level, the more healthy, the lower the level, more unhealthy. And in Dice Theme Park, it's similar to that, where they arrive excited, or sort of their energy levels and what you want to basically squeeze out as much energy as you want from them, and then they leave it at zero. So yeah,
that's quite wonderful, because it's a resource management thing, so dealing with real world things, but there's a big emotional content with both of these things. It's so a great investment in that.
Definitely, and that's a really good word that you use, which is emotion. And that's something that we try to have in all of our games, which is what emotion does it elicit? What kind of feelings do you have when you're playing the game? A really good example is that people will talk about hospital experiences that they've had with themselves or with relatives and loved ones. They'll make a joke about ER, the series. Another example is Welcome to Dino World, where the emotion it elicits is hilarity, because we ask you to draw little dinosaurs, and at the end everyone compares the dinosaurs, and then they see how stupid they are. So it's little quirks like that in the games that we actually look out for when we're signing up games. We don't want people just sat there just doing a little puzzle and doing their own thing. Dice Hospital is that. You do go head down and do your own little puzzle sometimes. It's called multiplayer solitaire. But what emotions does it bring out? And hopefully they're fun ones.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Alley Cat Games has joined us in chat here. It says dinosaur parks are perfectly safe, and we encourage everybody to open one.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure the dinosaur park that was on your live stream recently was actually perfectly safe. I think there was some serious things going on there, but that brings us to one of the really cool things that you guys have been doing, especially with things like Dinosaur Park and on your live stream, showing us how to play them solo, showing them how to play them remotely. And you mentioned, I think in the pre-chat, that you have a place on your website where you can all download variations on the rules in order to play remotely. Can you tell us a little bit more about them?
Yeah, well, we started seeing other publishers doing something similar. We're like, well, we should be doing this to encourage players to play remotely now that you can't play physically around the world. Lots of gamers were crying out for ways to play with their loved ones and their friends or their gaming group. So we decided as a team to very quickly try to rapidly create, mini rules or adjustment to the rules about how you can play remotely, and also release some of the files or limited versions of the files to allow you to play remotely. So lots of publishers have done that. There is a thread on BGG which allows you to see what publishers have released remote files. So on our website, you can just go to the main website bits, and then there's actually right on the header it says remote play. So there's that. You can also play our games on Tabletopia and Tabletop Simulator, etc. And we've also got an app coming out for Dice Hospital as well. So in a few months' time, people will be able to play that on their phones. So
that's very good. I can see that being amazingly addictive. Brilliant.
So we've mentioned Dice Hospital and the expansions, and then the other dice worlds that expanding. What other things can we find at Alley Cat Games? What else is going on?
Yeah, so we've got a few games coming up. One of them is Dice Theme Park. That's our next Kickstarter. That's probably going to be there on Kickstarter in October. The other game we've got after that is a dice placement game. It's called Eternal Palace. And essentially we're playing as Chinese nobles trying to gain favor with the emperor. The emperor wants to rebuild his palace that's gone into disrepair, so he wants to make it beautiful again. So you're tasked with sort of trying to help him. And the way you do that is you use your dice workers, which go onto dice placement spots, and each of the placement spots moves you up a track as well. So unlike most worker placement games where you're using either a meeple or a die or whatever to do or get something, this gets you something and it moves you up a track just on that particular spot. So it's kind of got this double-edged thing. And on top of that, what you're doing is by the time you reach the end of that track or you complete a series of tasks, you also get a painting piece. And there's 12 in the game. You're actually layering them on top of one another. So it has this beautiful table presence where we're going to allow you to put it on an easel, I think that's how you pronounce it, and you can overlay the painting pieces and they'll all look different to one another. So it's really got this beautiful table presence to it. And that's kind of like the same weight in terms of how you play it to Dice Hospital. So if you like Dice Hospital and you like the table presence or the painting piece and the uniqueness of the dice placement, Eternal Palace is a really good game. It's actually one of our, I think it's up there with Chocolate Factory, Dice Hospital, Dice Theme Park is one of our best games we've ever made.
Oh, it sounds lovely. And just remind us again, when is that going to appear?
Yeah, so that will either be, well, that's going to be straight away after Dice Theme Park, maybe a month or two. So most likely now January or February for Kickstarter release.
Excellent.
And one thing I haven't discussed is we're going to be doing a Martin Wallace reprint, but that's all secret right now until we release the images of that. So we're very excited about that one as well.
I've seen up on your header of your Facebook page, it's Kitten and Tinder Blocks.
Yeah,
Tell us a little bit about those two.
I've got them right here actually.
Cute.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
so
lovely travel things as well, aren't they? You know,
yes,
or
exactly.
Rage proof or travel proof, depending on your audience.
Actually, last year before we went to the Games Expo, we were given a whole bunch of sell sheets for the speed dating thing, and one of them happened to be Tinder Blocks. So we were speaking to the designer anyway, and we were like, hey, we think Tinder Blocks is cool. Could you send us a copy? He sent us one the next day. We got it. And we gave it a go. We were just blown away by the simplicity, but the sheer fun of it. And the emotion of it is the tension that you're building up of building a campfire. And then suddenly someone might blow it all apart and it falls down. So it's a little bit like reverse Jenga, but in your pocket, and with a lot of tension, a lot of fun. There's a lot of back chats between players. So it's great like that. And then we thought to go with it, we did this internally, a cat stacking game. So
excellent.
That's Kitten. But essentially it's just a whole bunch of cat meeples, and it does what it says on the tin. Flip a card, grab the cats and stack them as quickly as you can. So that's our sort of foray into mass market. And we've been quite lucky that Barnes & Noble approached us at Essen last year, and they were like, yeah, we want to take thousands of these, and they've made an order for thousands of them. So we're really excited about the possibilities of that. Yeah.
That's amazing. Cosmos Games is taking notes, I see. There's writing things down here. So moving on to our Virtually Expo plans, what are we going to get up to this 30 days from now?
Yeah, so we're really excited. So Ross, our sort of marketing and customer manager, has been organizing this with you guys. So he's been updating me about what he intends to do, and I'm sort of regurgitating what he said to me.
No
so
pressure,
you can thank Ross for that.
No pressure.
No pressure. But the intention, and we're hopeful it will happen, is that we're going to be running at least one stream per day, and it will be typically of our upcoming games. And hopefully on the Friday, we're going to be having a team game all together with the internal team, me, Ross, Jessica, and Simon. And with all these streams, it's going to be like a Q&A. Ask us whatever you like. Tell us what you liked about our games, what you disliked about our games. And then on Saturday and Sunday, we're hoping to have some designers join up with us. So, for instance, I know that Stephen was keen to do the Origins online when that was going to be happening. So he'll probably be involved. And I'm hoping to get one of the Malses involved as well. They were the designers of Tungaru, but they also designed Rococo, which recently had a deluxe version reprinted by Eagle Griffin Games. So those are two designers that will definitely be trying to get hold of to show their games, Eternal Palace and Tungaru, live as well. So we're hoping to get it, interactive, get people to talk to us. Because one of the best things about the physical UK Games Expo is we actually get to talk and speak to our customers, and they can tell us, yeah, I love this because of that, but I didn't like this because of that, but I love your stuff, I want to buy this, but I'm not going to buy that. So we get so much joy to actually just be speaking to them about the good and bad points about what we're doing, just so that we can improve as a company, basically. And it's just fantastic to be there. So Virtually Expo is almost like being there, isn't it?
Yeah, we're doing absolutely everything to make it virtually Expo.
Yeah,
That's the whole ethos there for.
I love it.
Yeah. So we know, well, I know because I've been tuning in that you guys have been doing some really lovely live streams on Twitch and Facebook. Is it something that happens every week? Because I just kind of drop in, it gives me notifications when it happens. When is that all going on?
So Ross again usually organizes it, and you can always check up on our Facebook page about when the next one is going to be, etc. But it's usually every week on a Thursday, usually at 2 p.m. And the only reason it's been quiet is just because of the Black Lives Matter movement. We didn't really feel like it was right to do anything during then, just to give people who actually needed to have their voice heard to be heard. And subsequently, we've made some changes about how we operate as well because of that. But the streams are now back, and they're back to their usual Thursday, usually at 2 p.m. So you can just check us up there.
Check us out, and that's also a good place because you're saying you love the interaction and hearing from your folks. In those streams, it's a lovely way to kind of have a chat or throw in some questions. It was nice to see on the last one I watched was the Dino Park. It was nice to find out that you can play that via Zoom, and that's where I learned all about your guys' open play. And those are really lovely because you guys are doing a lot of effort to make it kind of like a games afternoon. Like if you were at work and you bring your games along and you just sort of sit down and chill out with your friends, play some games. It's a really lovely feeling stream to have that similar kind of conversation. You can see like, oh, hang on, no, I need to put another generator down here. Oh, if this doesn't happen, the dinosaurs might escape, which would never happen. Never happen in your dinosaur park. But it's a really lovely kind of chatty feel to them. It's lovely.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, and this is something that I really believe Ross has done a great job in, which is making it feel like you can connect with us. It's supposed to be conversational. It's not about making any sales, because we don't really care about that. Obviously, we want you to buy our games, but at the same time, these streams are not meant for that. It's meant for connect with us, talk to us, tell us what you've been playing, tell us what you want to play, tell us what you're looking forward to, not necessarily Alley Cat game stuff. So it's just a way for us to connect to people. And I think the way that Ross has led it has been great, which is conversational, chatty, chilled out. And that, and that's what we hope to continue.
Yeah.
It's that great social experience as part of games, and it's the fact that you're actually sharing that social side of Alley Cat as well, which is it's really, really good. That's absolutely tremendous.
Phase Shift Games are looking forward to getting their hands on Dice Theme Park. I see. That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, I'm sure Jason is. Yeah, Jason's a good friend of mine, so I'm looking forward to catching up with him.
Yeah. So we've covered a few little bits and pieces. What's coming up in between now and Expo for you guys? Have you got anything happening on your Twitch pages that we should check out, or is there new things going to appear on the Alley Cat website? Anything exciting in the run up? Between now and 3 weeks' time, or next year? I think either. I forget that we're going further than Virtually Expo. That's all that's on my horizon right now.
Yes, that's kind of 30 days. That's how long the world is currently.
Yeah. So actually, usually in the summer is kind of like our slightly quieter period, where we are essentially waiting for the manufacturers to finish manufacturing our stuff so that they can put it on the boat in time, usually for Essen. Mm-hmm. But that's not happening this year, but we're still waiting for the games. So right now, what we're doing is sort of preparing for next year and doing a lot of the development and the art direction for our upcoming games. So we're doing a lot of scrambling around trying to do that. So yeah, in the next few weeks, publicly, the best thing to do is kind of like check our live streams on the Thursday afternoons, and stuff like that. You know, we always try to do blogs as well. Like every month we'll release a new blog. The next one is how to sort of break into the industry, which Simon has sort of been leading on that, my developer and editor. So it's quite interesting, his story, because he actually volunteered for AliCat because he wanted to gain some experience. He was changing jobs and he was like, well, I want to change my job. And I was like, well, I can probably hire you. And he's like, okay, well, I can come and work with you then. So the rest is history. And he's been with us for 18 months and, you know, hopefully he's enjoying himself with us. So, but yeah,
that's a really interesting thing that they're doing there, because people are interested in that as part of publisher and designer track for running at the Expo. So yeah, when you've done that, let's talk about sharing that as well.
Yeah, of course,
because that will be good as resources.
Wicked. Yeah, exactly. There's loads of places that you can enter into the industry, depending on your skill set. So there's probably something for you if you're not already in the industry.
Yeah. Wicked. Very cool.
AliCat Games in the Twitter, in the chat, reminds us that next Friday you'll be part of the Gen Con streaming. You're doing some Gen Con lineups.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We were physically at Gen Con last year for the first time, which was real eye opener, because although we had attended physically, we hadn't exhibited, and that was fantastic because we got to see that although we're relatively well known with UK hobbyists here, you know, we're not as well known over there. You know, lots of people have heard of Dice Hospital, but they never heard of AliCat as a brand. So it was really fantastic getting to be there, listening and talking to people and just finding out more. You know, we sold a decent amount. But Gen Con's just really good fun. It's very similar to UK Games Expo in the amount of fun had, even though the experiences are relatively different. So yeah.
That's exciting.
We'll be streaming next week. With Gen Con, we have a similar sort of thing planned where we're streaming upcoming games, and we have designers hopefully involved as well with that.
I think it's really considerate of Gen Con to have given everybody this opportunity to test before Virtually Expo. It's really nice of them to do that for us.
Yes.
I do have to say thanks for that. So that would be cool to check in, see some of the things at Gen Con next week, and then. At the end of the 30 days, we'll be live for Virtually Expo. I have to say I love AliCat Games. We was mentioning before, my son really loves Chocolate Factory, and my daughter is precious of her copy of Dice Hospital. It has been a pleasure chatting. Is there anything else we've missed that you need to share? Let's check in with those in charge of the official marketing. Do we need to cover anything else, or is there anything else you'd like to include?
No, we're super excited about our upcoming Kickstarter games. The only other thing is that we have 3 Kickstarter campaigns that are unfulfilled. The games are going to be finished next month to be shipped here from China. So one of the things we're sort of lining up for is the September to October fulfillment of those games, which we're really excited about. We've had to have a massive reorganization because usually what AliCat do is we send games from the UK internationally, but because of Royal Mail's price hikes due to the coronavirus, we've had to really drastically change. We've had to dig deep into our pockets to actually pay for that change as well. But we're not going to be mean and ask backers for more money. We're just going to be like, okay, well, we'll do it ourselves, and hopefully you'll enjoy the games, and hopefully we can get back your custom later. So that's the kind of the biggest thing that we're running up for in terms of what's coming up in the next couple of months. And we just can't wait to get these games. I mean, take a look at this. This is Community Care. It's bigger than my head.
Wow. Yeah. I think
so,
we've got
good man.
We've got the box art. I think holding it next to you there really doesn't the art doesn't do. Yeah.
It's the whole value for money thing.
When I saw it, I was like, Jesus, that's huge.
It's nice and hefty. There's a good heft to the game.
And it feels like, when you open up the box, you open it up and it's jam-packed full of stuff. So that's always a nice feeling as well.
Oh, that's awesome. But yeah, I was looking at the art and I was thinking, no, that's like a nice little addition. And wow, that's huge. And there are three things in there. as well, but you're going to play them all the time.
Yeah.
So Kickstarter fulfillment coming up. We've been asked, what's the next game? Have we mentioned that? I think we might have mentioned
Yeah,
that.
Dice Theme Park. So Dice Theme Park is our next Kickstarter game, coming in October.
Coming in October. There we go. I'm going real sort of the computer game theme park. The computer game. Remember that? I'm getting those kind of vibes from that. That looks cool.
Yeah, lots of people make that connection, and although that wasn't ever a conscious thing, it was unconsciously we knew that it existed, sort of thing. And people love that. Again, it's that emotion, that nostalgia. Oh, it reminds me of this. Yeah, I love that. So yeah.
Yeah. That's very cool. Do you have some eventual world domination plan where you'll do kind of some animated movie where you go for your dice hospital to your theme park to your dinosaur? Is that the ultimate goal here? I'm getting that vibe.
We have been joking around that we create some rules for, players that are on Dice Theme Park. They fall off the roller coaster and then they end up in the hospital. Yeah.
Or you get eaten by a dinosaur, which will never happen because all your generators in the right place. But
exactly.
Yeah. And then after theme park, is it Eternal Palace? Is that the one afterwards?
Yeah, it's Eternal Palace, and it's got that beautiful table presence with a really interesting dice placement, worker placement mechanic, and then after that is our secret Martin Wallace reprint as well.
Secrets.
So
secrets.
Very cool.
That's been awesome.
We also have a really big game next year, but that's not until autumn 2021. Coming up from two really famous designers and we hope a really big artist. So lots of plans moving forward, but most importantly, we have to get the games to our customers. So, one step at a time.
One step at a time.
Fantastic.
I like it. Thank you very much for joining us. Like you were saying, Thursdays, 2 p.m. on either Twitch or Facebook. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. To just doubly be sure about the times, either check in on the Wednesday afternoon or Thursday morning to double check the time. But yeah, usually Thursday around 2 p.m.
And then that's a really
don't forget to sign up to the newsletter as well for Alley Cats. I'll keep you informed.
Yeah, for sure. You can just go to our website and we do a monthly newsletter to tell people what's going on.
Thumbs up all round. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks, guys.
It's been a pleasure. We're going to take another quick short.